Hey everybody, this is Rydo and we're back to Shadow of the Tomb Raider. So we can no longer find anything else really to slow down the process here. We've had as much side quest time as possible. We've done all the side quests. We've looked to try to find all the collectibles. We haven't succeeded at finding all the collectibles, but we have 100% in the hidden city, which just leaves like one survival cache somewhere in the Peruvian jungle, and then one treasure chest and two survival caches somewhere in Cozumel. Um, there is this DLC side quest that happens after the main story or finishes, or the final act finishes, but we really just can't do anything else. We are maximized as far as just our inventory, really, too. There's a few things we could get totally to the max if we were just being ridiculous. Um, and I hate to start off on kind of a negative note, but really in retrospect, as we're approaching the end here, I really have to say there is nothing visually appealing about Shadow of the Tomb Raider. For all its hype around ray tracing, and clearly a big focus around implementing ray tracing, you still have glitches where her hair will clip through the equipment on her back. You still have physics glitches, which are often run by the GPU engine too, in which the grapple hook will disconnect itself from the wall and just fall down, and you'll magically float in the air. Um, it's just not any more impressive visually. It's way too dark in many sections. On top of that, we spend the vast majority of the time in this Serpent Guard outfit, and maybe you had a couple other options, but not anywhere as many options as there are outfits. Uh, and even if the visuals were great, I have to say, everything else is getting extremely long in the tooth by the third game in this rebooted trilogy. This second reboot of Tomb Raider. There are entire gameplay loop systems that don't make sense. There are entire uh, elements of gameplay that are boring and grindy and worked fine in the first of the rebooted series, first game of the rebooted series, but there's been basically no implementation or improvement since then in the two sequel games. Uh, so yeah, we should get to the end because familiarity is definitely breeding contempt here. After we speak to Etzil, fast travel will be disabled until the story campaign is completed. So we're going to finish the story. We're basically going to storm the cult of Klukakan, whatever, however it really is pronounced. We're just going to storm some place controlled by Dr. Dominguez, um, and we're going to try and take the knife away and use it with the silver box to stop the world from ending and stop Dr. Dominguez from remaking the world. Unless, of course, they want to do what would be a really interesting twist in the story and actually remake the world, which I doubt they will actually do that. And even if they did remake the world, I would have to assume what's going to happen is you're going to get just some slightly different visuals, uh, and that's about it. Um, if the whole game after the end was that way, and inherently the stakes are too high for Dr. Dominguez to win, because we kind of need to remake the world in some way to merge the timelines of the previous reboot, which most people don't even remember, and the original Tomb Raider series.
How is the plan coming together, Etzli?
We have options. Uchu?
I'd kind of forgotten completely that Jonah even existed at
Kukulkan's
this
army
point.
will follow the Sack Bay to the Great Stone Bridge to reach the pyramid. If we approach them head on, we have the best chance to intercept them, but we could easily be overwhelmed.
If we go in this way, it'd be more secure. But our timing would have to be perfect.
Is the game gonna make us choose?
Can we do both? If we approach head on, I can go around the other way and act as a sniper.
They'd be trapped.
No approach is without risk, but I believe this is the best option.
Good. Then, on your order.
Gather the troops. Let's go.
So, for the most part, it seems like this entire invasion. What is with all the visual glitching that's happening there? Like, I've been not having any problems with this game as far as crashing ever since I fixed the
This is where
RAM.
part. Your path lies that way.
But now this cutscene feels like it's
No.
glitching and a little frame ratey.
I want you to have this. For luck.
Etzli, I can't.
After today, the eclipse will no longer represent us. We keep the sun, but you remove the shadow.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider, I guess.
Be careful, Jonah.
So pretty much just unnamed
You little bird.
characters, a lot of which look like old guys, are going to attack head on, and yet I'm going to be the sniper that's doing archery shots and probably taking out way more people than you would think. I will say that cutscene was better animated than some of the others we've seen, where you actually see her walking down a hole and jumping in the water, then starting us in the water so we can't actually get back up. Another complaint that definitely needs to be pointed out here is the fact that this, like so many other games, has just embraced the survival instincts mode to highlight everything, and then that removes the saturation of the images. I would have almost certainly avoided using survival instincts by a couple of multipliers, 2 or 3 times less, had I just been given a small little arrow or something to point me in the right direction. Because I'm not really looking for resources when I'm turning on survival instincts. Nor, when I'm in a puzzle, was I ever really looking for hints. So, having 3 different things open up based on clicking the right stick maybe is a statement showing how there aren't enough buttons on controllers these days or people aren't efficiently programming buttons on controllers. But it's a bad system. It's worth mentioning also, if you were swimming in underwater volcanic jets like this, even if the heat didn't kill you, which it almost certainly would, like, water is a decent enough conductor that if you're seeing flaming red fire, that's gonna affect the temperature of the water and boil you alive. And even if that wasn't the case, probably the methane from the volcano in the water would kill you. I guess you're not breathing the water, but
Unbelievable. Jonah, I made it. I see the bridge.
so this once again feels a lot like the final sequence at the first game, and particularly the second game even more.
Do you see that red smoke? I'm gonna
Where?
check it out. Unaratu said that the Crimson Fire was her destiny.
Okay, don't take too long.
So you have like Trinity flying around. There we can see the enemies.
Copy that. Remember, people, any structural opening is a potential enemy vector.
A lot of this, I think, is straight up just going to be platforming. That's seems like what it was mostly at the end of the first game, is you had a lot of platforming when in a sequence that really should probably just be more of a standard
Trinity's hunting them.
boss fight.
This is Cardinal 8.
And I think the second game was even worse because it was mostly just running, gunning. Here we have another case where you're just not going to cinematically,
Your shield. Trinity's hunting them.
you're just not going to succeed on the first try.
On hostiles. Changing course heading to 105.
I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. Like, am I supposed to be waiting for a helicopter to pass me, or am I supposed to
Establish kill
do a
zones.
wild
Hold them off
jump?
at any cost.
I guess I was just supposed to do a wild jump.
Remember, they attack from all angles. Any structural opening is a potential enemy vector.
The midget warriors that I don't unfortunately have a better name for,
Good progress in all sectors. We are losing a lot of people.
don't seem like they're even going to come back in the story.
Overlap your fields of fire.
Or maybe they'll come back at the last second.
The source of the smoke. I can reach it.
Weirdly, it seems like you have to do this platforming just to prove you got good at doing the platforming in this game when there wasn't a lot of opportunity for that.
When the crimson fire smokes, seek your mirror. Was this Unaratu's destiny?
So, are we walking next to the queen that we saw hours and hours ago? I guess that's the case. So I guess the idea may be that this is supposed to be a Lara Croft reflection, an evil version of Lara Croft. Although
You're the crimson fire.
I don't really believe that.
I think we're supposed to work together to defeat Kukulkan. Khan.
And then
You shall.
so these two are reflecting the narrative of the story, if you've been paying attention, I guess, with Shockshell and E-Shell. And you see some side boob on this Crimson Queen character, but not really showing much. If anything, she looks surprisingly clean and pale for someone who seems to likely be living underground. So we're just gonna walk right past all these other creatures. And the game is going to give me an achievement that dings. I hate that too. Like, I've never had another game do that where they made noise while unlocking an achievement. So these guys are just ignoring me. It seemed like they're blinded. Their eyes seem to be sewn shut anyways. So I don't know if they really would have seen me in the first place. It's probably a crazy thing to say, but I would put this, if I was the person in charge of developing the character of the Crimson Queen, I would put her in a lot more clothing to start off with, to hope that you could have her show up more in the game, because now it does just kind of feel.
Change of plans. I'm bringing reinforcements.
I just got a photo
The
of
Ashiel
Crimson
are the
Fire.
descendants of the creators of the Key of Shakshal and the Silver Box of Ishal. In the centuries since Lopez stole the box 400 years ago, they lost their purpose. Now they protect the site where the ritual of the Silver Box will take place. Even though their minds have faded, their purpose remains intact. They will fight and repel anyone entering the holy city of the Serpent. They are led by a priestess known as the Crimson Fire. She represents Shakshal, and along with Ishal, she is charged with completing the ritual of the Silver Box and guiding Ishal in her sacrifice of the sun's power. Once it is completed, the Crimson Fire and all the Yashiel will return to the heavens, where the key and the box were forged.
Okay, not a particularly great way to even look at the character, since it's just this photo that has some dirt and just bad quality on top of it, but yeah. I would definitely have wanted to see the Crimson Fire as a character included and talked about a lot more and showing up a lot more often. I could see her showing up at the end of every tomb and just watching you, like investigating you. I could see her being at the head of the charge of a lot of attacks from the Pygmy warriors, sending in the troops effectively. And yeah, the scantily clad hide clothing probably isn't the thing that caused her to not show up. I would say it's probably just a lack of interest in writing an interesting story, or skill in writing an interesting story, because the DLC story and narrative is way better than the main story is. But you do have that thought, certainly I do in my head, that, oh, they made a scantily clad sexy lady, and then Square Enix or ESRB in rating the game said get rid of the sexy lady, and so she only shows up once at the very end.
I hope you know what you're doing.
Me too.
Commander, we have eyes on Croc. He's with the E-Shield. She's what? Don't get distracted. Take her out.
I guess this could have been a little interesting to climb around with other characters and to platform with other characters. We have something similar to this earlier in the game, in that we get chased by the Pygmy warrior characters, or the monster characters. Let's just call them monsters going forward.
This is Zeta Team. High Council in position. Holding perimeter. Repeat, High Council is secure. This is Commander Wood. Entire High Council is here to personally oversee our victory.
The entire High Council
At all costs.
basically saying, once I kill the entire High Council, that is it for Trinity as far as a threat in this world. Getting shot at while climbing is an interesting cutscene, but I bet I actually couldn't get hit. The wood is breaking here, but it doesn't feel like it's actually being shot by bullets. That was a little awkward in the way it showed that cutscene, in that I would have expected it to be a little bit more to the right looking, a little earlier.
Jonah, we did it. We've
almost there. Where's Dominguez?
He's inside the temple. We're so close.
Weirdly, I have not done anything snipering. No snipering at all. No bow and arrow.
We are prepared to receive your power. They're with you? This ritual is mine to complete. They've chosen wrong. It's all wrong.
No! It was always theirs. Give us the box.
No. Never. I must protect Paititi.
We all create destiny. Not just you. All of us.
Again, the audio feeling not as dynamic as it should be, or maybe too dynamic when the dialogue starts to happen. Now the eclipse is going to happen,
Strong to the end.
and I felt like the eclipse was going to happen fairly early, and then you were going to spend at least a couple hours with an eclipse visual effect, no matter where you went or who you fought. So we have guns. And so I don't think I can even really need to collect anything here. And see, I just tried to shoot all those characters because my default thought was to shoot everybody who's yellow in survival instinct mode. So I've got that like secondary shot, but I have no idea how to actually take this guy out. Like nothing I'm doing seems to work. So nothing. So I'm assuming then the move is just to run forward. Seriously, what am I supposed to be doing here? I didn't even know that it was the main guy there that was in charge of the military part of Trinity. And so you don't even get the victory there to defeat the guy who's been a big antagonist throughout the whole game. And now I just don't know where I'm supposed to go or what I'm supposed to do. Am I supposed to be walking back that way, or am I supposed to climb this way, I guess?
Jonah, Rourke is dead. I'm going after Dominguez to stop the ritual.
And we'll just see how many of these secondary bullets we can go back to crafting. It won't be many, honestly. Alright. So we have a odd campfire. So I guess that means this is just a whole section in the map in this volcano. And I kind of knew that the volcano was going to be a big thing at the end of the game. So we don't get to kill the main military guy, where clearly there should have been more of a boss fight if there were better fighting mechanics in this game, other than just shooting people. And I don't think we're actually going to kill Dr. Dominguez, so I question if we're gonna get to kill anybody that we actually recognize.
The High Council's been slaughtered. Commander Rourke, we need your orders. Rourke's dead too.
Seems like just off screen the High Council was killed. So Lara Croft seems to be getting away with the convenient elimination of all of her enemies without her having to bloody her hands at all, despite the fact that she started this whole apocalypse and almost certainly killed a lot of people in Cozumel. I don't like how when you swing here the rocks give way to you. And I don't like how that system was not really at a 90-degree angle. And it's now just questionable, are we going through a cinematic experience where we still are stumbling even though we have the skill that says we wouldn't stumble? I guess we'll technically not fall. I definitely don't feel like this game would have been any better had you not had that skill, and had it been something like Zelda Breath of the Wild, where you would have some kind of stamina system or stumble system, and you would have had to level up your climbing. By this game, I mean the game we've seen. Now, I could see a Zelda Breath of the Wild-like game starring Lara Croft, where you increased your ability to climb. Although even Breath of the Wild doesn't actually let you increase your ability to climb permanently. It does it based on what equipment you have equipped. Seems like we're always just too late. Shadow and mirrors. Looks like somebody standing at each mirror. Let's not mess with this. Let's just... These guys seem to be completely safe. So what am I supposed to be doing if I can't shoot these guys?
release the energy trapped inside them.
Icons have to release the energy trapped inside of them. Am I supposed to be shooting this? No. So I'm just supposed to be running around breaking this. And
Find her. She must not interfere.
maybe at the higher difficulty levels this would be a real challenge, but it really does just feel like I can just run and accomplish this. You have this level of safety by being behind a statue.
Nothing will stop me.
Now notice the game never had us break statues like that before. So it's doing a terrible job of just like preparing the player. We've also never had to fight a magical character. Let's see. Fire. Am I supposed to do something here to hit him? Yeah. You're supposed to stab him with the Y button.
You can't match a god.
So now we have the knife. Alright. So run till we get him close to this point. That's not the guy though. Yeah, we're too late to be dealing with the mud-covered walls. I think he shot the explosive barrel, so I don't know if I'm really supposed to be doing the explosive barrel or something else now. Really doesn't feel like anything you can do can hurt him, but apparently any amount of damage maybe can hurt him.
Yeti is mine to protect, not yours.
This is once again one of those examples where the final boss is just completely different. Yeah, and you just have to do a decent amount of damage.
Attack all you want, but that will only make me stronger.
Weirdly, I still feel like he's not going to be dead by the end of this. We're getting tons of XP handed to us, but noticeably we didn't get any relics or collectibles. Which I would have expected to get a few more documents. Am I supposed to sneak up on this guy, or what? This is like the 5th time we've had to stab him, which is certainly overkill.
I'm sorry.
So weirdly, one of the videos on Steam that shows the eclipse seems like it has to be taking place during this boss fight.
Please,
Pretty deceptive.
please, Sarah.
I will.
Now here's the question, do we want Lara Croft to be a god in the Tomb Raider series? I think the answer to that's pretty resounding no.
To claim her treasure, the adventurer, Lara Croft, must have...
So we're back to the
Outwit the
flashback.
king? I think the king might have something to say about that.
So remember, it's gonna offer you
Yes, my white
what you want,
one.
and you're gonna have to be strong enough to fight it off, or the world's gonna end.
There's you, and me, and your dad. Where are we? Hawaii.
With this key and the silver box, we can remake the world. Without weakness, rooted.
If you had that power, what would you do?
My brave girl, who is not expecting a jaguar attack.
Where shall we go next for our real adventure? I hear the Antarctic is
Now here's the problem with this. I think there's a decent argument that she could use this power to eliminate the existence of Trinity from out history and save a lot of people's lives, and also save her
Goodbye, Mom.
father, at least.
Goodbye, Dad.
But if she did that, then why would using the power in one way be acceptable morally, and not using it in a different way not be acceptable? She'd have to admit that she would be acting hypocritically. See, and I was thinking we'd get a lot more lens flare when the eclipse happened.
When the catastrophes come, the god Kukulkan must be sacrificed to power the sun. Otherwise, the world dies.
Sacrifice a god?
So now we have to stab the Crimson Queen?
The sacrifice is my duty. But if my training fails me, the Crimson Fire will guide me and hold me to my promise.
So she's killing herself.
I like this world. It's not perfect. But
It
everything
would
I
be
love
bold
now
if this trilogy ended with
is in it.
Lara Croft just dying through suicide.
After today, the eclipse will no longer represent us. We keep the sun.
Or noble sacrifice, whatever you want to call it.
Protect by it.
So they're gonna do the whole cut out our hearts thing.
I will.
Honestly, that would be a pretty decent way for a hero like Lara Croft to die, to have her heart cut out in a South American Aztecian sacrifice. It's almost certainly going to be a better way you could depict the end of an adventure than what they would ever do with like Indiana Jones. So she didn't even go back 2 days, go back to the beginning of this game and undo the beginning of the apocalypse. So no time travel, no remaking the world. I was definitely off when it came to time travel. This is almost certainly a
Not to.
pre-rendered cutscene, so it
mother.
looks good, which is fine,
A
but
warrior.
most of the
rebel.
game doesn't.
She will be venerated for generations. I miss you.
You know what would be irritating about this too is that now that the mother died, that they probably will
Now,
build another
We will
challenge
feed her
tomb
spirit.
for
reunite
her,
by Titi.
or another crypt for her. What do you think Lara Croft would just say, enough with the crypts, enough with the tombs. Stop building them.
Thank you.
Stop putting traps everywhere. Of course, I'm really just joking about that.
So I'm head back to Kwakyaku tomorrow.
Really? Missing the jungle? Off in search of the elusive fish tree?
They never did
Maybe I
anything
head to the coast for a
around
few
his
days.
arm and the worm in it.
I'm glad.
What about you?
I think I'll stay here for a while longer.
And restore a few more artifacts?
I don't know.
So what will you do?
I don't
It's
know.
awkward to have this wrap-up
Edsley will
scene
help
and
me
then have
figure it
Guy
out.
Butt
He'll let
just
me
to the
know what
left of the
ITT
screen.
needs to rebuild.
Wow.
I'm done searching. I want to be around the living.
All right.
Don't you have to pack or something?
Now you are stuck with me till tomorrow.
And they just
You're
put her
welcome to stay
in
as
her
long as you wish.
default outfit
Safe
for
travels.
this
Jonah.
cutscene,
Once Paititi is restored,
which makes it
perhaps I can
easy to
join you.
pre-render this
Learn more
cutscene.
about the world beyond Paititi.
Anytime. You just say the word. You too, Uchu?
If he wants to.
So, Jonah, Lara tells me you have a girlfriend.
Uh,
We will come to the wedding.
wait, whoa.
Edsley, why don't you show me the plans for the new temple?
Yes.
They literally are building a new temple. They've also given me 2 achievements. One was for beating the game on smart and resourceful difficulty, which definitely feels like right before I won. Wow, why did the audio clip out there? Yeah, right before you potentially finish the game, you could have just changed the difficulty up to the highest setting, I'm sure, and gotten a different achievement. That being said, I have 62 of 99 achievements at the moment, so there's clearly multiplayer achievements or just achievements that I'm not likely to ever collect. So you have a small list of people there before you get to the Eidos Montreal development team. So it seems to me like my guess that there was at least 2 teams here, one doing the DLC stuff and one doing the main game stuff. That seems pretty obvious. Now weirdly, you have like 5 people as far as narrative writer, and I would say the narrative in this game is pretty terrible. You have about 30 people under level designers, and I think they probably are using the description of level designer a little too broadly, because many parts of this game were just narrow pathways when walking from point A to point B, and it would be more like a 3D modeler position than an actual level designer, where somebody's thinking about why objects would be in a place and how the gameplay would be affected because an object is in that place. Even when we get into the hunting sections and the stealth sections, those designs are pretty awful. We're seeing the pre-rendered images of the story we just played showing up on as pictures. And some of it doesn't quite make the most sense. I don't know where that picture would have come from. If anything, it feels like those are pictures from previous Tomb Raider games. We were never in a snowy point. That we should have been in a snowy point in this game at some point. We should have gone to at least one other location other than Peru and the Cozumel at the very beginning. The Cozumel section also doesn't really do anything for the narrative. It's just an excuse to show off the ray tracing and Deus de los Muertes imagery. Yeah, all this snow stuff had to have been from the second game, because we spent most of the time in the second game in like Siberia. So it seems like they're trying to recap the entire rebooted trilogy here. Apparently we fought a giant bear in the second game. We didn't find anything interesting like that in the third game. We didn't have a particularly interesting hallucination sequence in the third game. It is a considerably long list of people that are being credited here. But I can't help but just think that they were burnt out, or that their efforts were like stymied by a lack of time or a lack of money. Like, because by far it's pretty easy to tell that the first Tomb Raider in this rebooted series is way better than the second Tomb Raider in this series, and Shadow of the Tomb Raider is by far the worst of the experiences. Yeah. And all of that was Eidos. So Crystal Dynamics, being more labeled the people in charge, haven't even started to be listed in the credits. Man, there's so many interesting locations from the previous games in comparison. Do we have a narrative finality to this? Not really. Just Lara Croft was mopey and depressed at the beginning of the game, and now she's happy and upbeat. That's, I think, pretty much all you can really say about it. I guess Dr. Dominguez really is dead at the end of this story. So I don't know how you would have ended that DLC quest at that point. Probably just a different line of dialogue saying latest to rest with him. You get into this weird problem here where the game itself, as far as being a critic, we've just crossed very far past the line of saying, if only this one thing was fixed, if only this other thing was fixed. I would say, in general, if only Square Enix actually cared about Tomb Raider and gave Crystal Dynamics and Eidos more time to develop the game and make something that they were really excited about making and that they had some enthusiasm for. If only Eidos and Square Enix worked together better. If only Eidos and Crystal Dynamics worked better together. Like, you could say those general if-onlys to improve this game, but point for point, I really just want a completely different game. And I don't know, personally, as somebody who hasn't played the original Tomb Raider games, that I really would want even the original Tomb Raider games, where you are just doing more 3D platforming, something closer to Mario 64, and dual gun shooting animals, and puzzle solving, which there's basically no puzzle solving here. You're getting even more teams, although it seems like Square Enix Greenlight was just doing user research. Maybe that was part of the problem, and then Nixus Software may have been making the PC port. But yeah, it does feel like you really just need a completely different game. Does this rebooted trilogy ruin Lara Croft as a character? No, because she's like Mario. She barely has much of a personality anyway, so you can just bring her out and use her in anything. Lara Croft in a boxing game, Lara Croft in a golfing game, Lara Croft in a solitaire game. She works in pretty much any of that. I don't like the voice actress of Lara Croft and the writing for Lara Croft, and that she doesn't sound like a British person when she is obviously British, and then the young Laura actress sounded like a British lady girl, which doesn't make much sense at all. I think it was probably a waste of time to have a Mexican cast speaking native Spanish when that native language option was just not going to be easy to play with, turned on for most players. Apparently this was a SAG-AFTRA union job for the voice acting. Screen Actors Guild. I don't know what AFTRA actually stands for. But yeah, these Tomb Raider games, even in the first game, I would say it showed off a lot of interesting potential in the first game of this most recent reboot, but it didn't hit the nail on the head perfectly. I have no idea who Arsenal is. It seems like there's just even more support companies that worked on this game. It's obviously a game that is just cut and pasted together from the works of multiple teams. And then QA, what can you really say about QA for as buggy as this game is? Even ignoring the times where it would crash the desktop and my computer reboot that one time, and assuming that that was just the RAM problem with my computer, there was still tons of physics and visual glitches. You are between a rock and a hard place, certainly, because you don't want to lose Lara Croft. You don't want 10 years to go by and no new game has had Lara Croft in it. Interesting, they have like functional QA testers, and then they have technical QA testers. That's weird, because I've never seen that as a credit, a functional QA tester. It's in the title, I guess, that they're implying we only care if it functions. We don't care if it functions correctly or if it's technically right. And certainly that's something, as far as QA testers in particular, that I think a lot of people who might want to play video games all day and get paid would be disappointed in that if you are a QA tester in most video game companies, you're getting paid very little. You're almost always fired as soon as the game is released, and there's just no job stability. It's not a job that's going to lead to you becoming a programmer or an animator or a writer for video games. If anything, working as a QA tester almost guarantees you will never actually break into the video game industry, because people who work as QA testers are usually young and should be going to colleges to get more education to be a programmer or a 3D artist or whatever your specialty would be. And I think some people might try to split the middle there and be a QA tester but also have education in programming, and I wouldn't be surprised if you said, oh, well, it looks like we have an infinite loop. Infinite loops in programming, very obvious, easy to at least make that assumption, but I bet if you're a QA tester, your bosses don't care about your speculation of whether it's an infinite loop or not. They're going to make you fill out some archaic form as to the bug, and then the bug is going to be submitted in that form letter to actual programmers, who then are going to diagnose the problem themselves and not take your suggestion or your expertise or possible expertise. They're not even going to ever hear the comment. Furthermore, if you're a QA tester and you are actually a decent programmer, they're probably not going to let you ever see the code or touch the code, so you couldn't fix even the smallest of bugs, say an infinite loop, if you could see the problem. There is no collaboration, really, I suspect, between QA testers and the rest of the team developing games. A lot of mocap stuff. Mocap has been another thing that has really ruined the video game industry, and if anything, Shadow of the Tomb Raider is the penultimate example of games getting bigger and bigger and bloated, and more and more bloated to be these AAA, like super long, super expensive experiences, and games just seeing some element that's used in another game and deciding that they need that element in their game. I don't know if you really do need mocap in a Tomb Raider game instead of just hand animating the 3D models. It's probably just easier to mocap the characters. But also, I think a lot of times when I would see Lara Croft's face, it would seem more round and bloated, and I suspect some of that has to do with the mocap cameras capturing the face of the actor in different lighting scenarios. Look at all this localization QA technicians. Why is that one long column when we've seen secondary columns? Incredibly long credits, and I guess as soon as we stopped seeing the photos, we could have just hit the skip button. But let's try and highlight the large amount of people that put some effort into this game, even if I personally am not super enthralled with it. Remember, we still have a DLC mission, and there's a possibility that there will be other missions that unlock. So there easily could be a whole nother 2 hours or so of gameplay here. When you see additional outsourcing in the credits, though, look at how many other companies they outsourced to. This game was a horrific mess. It's pretty obvious as far as getting it finished. And then you have Square Enix, a Japanese company that wants to take all the credit if the game sells well, and wants to take none of the blame as a publisher if the sales are bad, even if it is almost... It definitely seems like every time Square Enix has a failure, it seems like it's Square Enix's fault. And it being a Japanese company, first and foremost, it wouldn't surprise me if the focus and the money for advertising and development was pulled away from the Tomb Raider reboot as a series in favor of developing things like the Final Fantasy VII remake or Final Fantasy 15, 16, whatever would have been in development, probably 15. But yeah, it definitely seems like Square Enix, uniquely amongst publishers, has had a long chain of games coming out doing less than amazing but still doing pretty good, and then Square Enix saying that the sales are disappointing, and maybe it is just a budgeting thing, but it often comes off just like Square Enix as a publisher just has a bad attitude, and it has bad, I guess, ways of speaking in a business speak, because you probably don't want to say sales are disappointing even if the game did sell particularly poorly. You want to find a way to do that political spin and say this game met its metrics, or this game did as well as we expected, This game, Tomb Raider, is very historically relevant and culturally important to the gaming community, and we're proud to release it. Things like that. You can say things without actually talking about the sales being disappointing. Well, Square Enix basically just does say they're disappointed in every particularly Western game that they published during this time. Now that we know how much overwork happens when developing a game, when we see these production babies in credits, that really just seems like kind of a bad omen to me now. It's like, oh, these people managed to have a baby, but then they probably were not around much in that first year of that child's life because they were working too many hours and too much overtime developing the game. We've got a long list of thank yous. Then we have a Tomb Raider community. First steps to rebooting the Tomb Raider franchise were taken in 2007, a full 6 years before the Endurance set sail in 2013. So it took them 6 years to develop the first game in this reboot series. 11 years later, Lara Croft's reimagined origin story is drawing to a close. Over the period of 3 games developed by hundreds of passionate professionals across multiple development studios, Lara has evolved from an untested adventure of survival to ultimately the Tomb Raider. We've gone alongside the Tomb Raider. Thank you from the official Tomb Raider website. Seems like they're thanking a bunch of fan websites of Tomb Raider. I wasn't able to actually read all that text. It was scrolling by a little too fast. Thank you for the official cosplay ambassadors who brought Lara Croft to life for fans at conventions around the world. Tomb Raider, Lara Croft being very popular to cosplay, but not the new Tomb Raider particularly. If you told me that there's jaguars named Janice and Juanita, I don't know what jaguars mean in that case. Yeah, if you told me that all of the cosplayers who were cosplaying the new Lara Croft from 2013 to now were paid by either Square Enix or Crystal Dynamics to cosplay the new outfit versus the old outfits, I mean, that would be a bit of a stretch to say all of them, but I wouldn't be surprised if the vast majority were paid. And even if they're not handed cash to cosplay the new Lara Croft in the new outfit, I can definitely personally testify that Crystal Dynamics was retweeting the cosplayers who would cosplay the new Lara Croft outfits and not particularly promoting or retweeting cosplayers doing the old one, the old outfit.
I thought that taking control of my life meant venturing out to do something extraordinary. I thought I had to fix everything. But the mysteries of the world are to cherish more than to solve.
So we're back in Croft Manor. Probably in the present time.
I'm not sure what the future has in store, Jonah, but whatever adventure's on the horizon, I can't wait to meet it.
I'll try not to take myself too seriously.
And so here's our butler guy. We're never going to see him.
Lovely.
Yeah. At the end of the game, you see her say lovely like a British person might.
For now, it just feels good to be home.
So you really have to assume that she was just raised in Croft Manor by the butler after the father died. I more assume that she was sent to a boarding school. Alright, so congratulations, you've completed Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Choose continue from the main menu to return to Paititi. You'll arrive before the final battle with Amaru. However, the path to the City Serpent is now closed. Choose New Game Plus to play again with your acquired equipment and skills, which undoubtedly it would be very easy to get through this game at a higher difficulty if you chose New Game Plus. But you can't do the DLC mission unless you click continue, so you are just tempted to potentially ruin your save file. Okay. Everything just popping in and popping out. Okay. Questions to ask. Do we have any idea where the survival cache would be in the Peruvian jungle? You would kind of think it would be here. Like there's one document here, and then there's not another thing until this document, where it tends to seem like other documents would be there. Do we have any idea how to find the treasure chest here? No. I would just assume that what you can't do here is just go talk to the boy. He's not there. And so that seems like that's the way you solve that problem. Now in doing all of that, we did get some XP, but we are still like 4 skill points away from being able to unlock everything. Can we equip any outfit we want? That's a question to ask. Before, in gameplay, you had this hidden city outfit restriction. It's still enabled. So, yeah. We can't really try all the outfits, nor have we really unlocked any major outfits after beating the game. Okay, fast travel here. Let's see what this last quest is all about. I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't something fairly simplistic. Maybe a bit of an Easter egg. They certainly teased this eclipse throughout the game and did nothing with it. Right. So, we have the Tactical Adventurer Black outfit. We had this one. Let's just make sure we show off everything here. We had Explorer, which Explorer gave us extra bonus for hunting animals, XP, so we could have tried to play the whole game in this outfit, except for the fact that you couldn't actually use it inside the game. You're put in this blue heron tunic for kind of no reason when you enter the hidden city, and then eventually you get the serpent guard, both of which give you no benefits. This adventurer outfit is another one that we could have worn. The survival outfit from the first game. The outfit from the second game. A commando outfit is a little crazy. There. Desert tank. I don't think there was ever a point where we really wore this outfit in any of the games. Maybe this is from one of the older games too. It's not a terrible outfit. Again, Metal Gear Solid militaristic is a little crazy for these other outfits. There's far too many of those. It feels like you should have done at least one quest wearing this outfit. The leather jacket outfit would have worked. This is too much like Uncharted's outfit, in my opinion. And frankly, this is just not particularly very detailed, in that you just have a button-up shirt and khaki pants. Then you have Angel of Darkness Lara Croft, which drastically changes the way the entire character looks. You can also see how the hair styles are different. I could see making a Tomb Raider game, even now, in this style. Like, where it is more cartoony and where pale skin would just stand out more against the background for visibility. Obviously, you would bring it up to modern quality and add a few more polygons and get the anatomical proportions a little bit more accurate. But the jump here to hyper realistic from this is so far that I think there is a middle ground between it. Clearly you can't make a game based on Tomb Raider 2's model, which yeah, but I can say if you got rid of the climbing axe and had 2 guns, that would feel iconic. If you put pants on her that weren't hot pants, that were high up on the thigh but also weren't full length pants, if you had just slightly above the knee pants with the guns, or at least have the pants down low enough that the straps on the gun holsters are going over the pants, that would be fine, in my opinion. I think a blue, brighter blue top would be iconic. But then you're back to just hyper realistic outfits, most of which are just animal hide skins and not really in character with what Lara Croft would wear. Like, I just don't think of Lara Croft as a character wearing military outfits or animal hide skins unless there was a real reason for it. And yes, there was a reason for it in this game, but the reason stayed around far too long. This is an odd outfit too, but I could see her potentially wearing this as a way of pretending to be a soldier in like Siberia, or attending some kind of British soiree in fancier dress. Man, there really is just not a lot of diversity here. Here you have them making a modern take on what Lara Croft's outfit is, where they've implied shorter shorts by having different colored legging patches on the legs, but the legs are still going all the way down. But they've implied a blue top, but in this case the blue top has just no neckline at all. And then the Croft Fitness outfit seems like a weird choice to even have made that outfit, since there was no scene in which you were doing any kind of fitness. It only gets kind of worse as you start to look at the non-DLC outfits that you had to craft and get all the resources on. I don't know where they got the idea that people playing Tomb Raider games want to play dress up with Lara Croft to this level. It's an overemphasis on the cosplaying aspect. And yes, even if every single cosplayer who does cosplay as Lara Croft plays Lara Croft games, they are still not the majority of gamers that are playing Tomb Raider games. I would have very much preferred her to have 2 or 3 outfit changes in the narrative when it made sense. It kind of would have made sense to have Lara Croft cover herself up like one of these nuns and pretend to be a nun for a scene. That would have made some sense. It might have made some sense to have her dress like the civilians and in this area to try and blend in. But then that does imply that Lara Croft would just actively try to seek out ways of hiding herself instead of just standing out as being the famous adventurer Lara Croft. But you could certainly work with that and say she's a celebrity and she needs to hide her appearance, otherwise she'll get droned by fans. Like, I don't know if there really is going to be a quest here or if this is just going to be a cutscene. Let's see. If you speak to Abby, fast travel will be disabled until the mission is complete. Are you ready to live Mariana's dream? I guess we are. We should have looked to see if we had gotten that other skill. I guess we haven't gotten it yet. Remember, we got a skill where we could permanently mark enemies, and we never even used it.
Everybody's been introduced.
How did you get here?
Our allies in battle, the Yashil, have vanished from Paititi. But they left a trail I was able to follow. It led me here.
That's what Mariana's vision was about. Why I asked you to meet me here.
You think the Yashil are in trouble?
I don't know. That's where you come in. According to Grandma, you and the Yashil have some kind of special connection?
Yes.
Then it rests on you to find out what happened.
I'll do what I can.
I told them you'd say that.
The recent volcanic activity opened up a fissure in the ground.
Seems like they needed to give Jonah a line to speak.
Linked to the Yashil somehow? Maybe Andres Lopez wasn't as crazy as we thought.
Either way, a hidden underground tunnel sounds like the perfect place to start.
So I guess they wanted one more tomb and a reason to wrap up the Yashil's story. Those are the monster characters, I assume. Looks like we could talk to all 3 of these people if we wanted to.
This place sure has a lot of tunnels underneath it. I'd say I wish I was going with you, but the Yashil creep me out.
Very echoey lines of dialogue, which makes sense since we are in an echoey church.
The tunnel opening should be nearby. If the Yashil do need help, you're the best person for the job. Be safe.
I expect the entrance nearby is for a minor tunnel connecting to a major one that runs all the way here from Paititi. The Yashil fought honorably. We owe them this much. You will succeed. I know it.
Okay. So before we go, let's just look at this church section. This would have been destroyed in an earthquake. It doesn't seem like there's any items or collectibles. Weirdly, I seem to be rather low in resources. But I'm not really expecting a big challenge either. And if this was an Assassin's Creed game, you'd almost certainly expect to have to climb around all of this. I think that's one of the things that makes Assassin's Creed more interesting as far as it being a collectathon game. At least the first 3 or 4 of the Assassin's Creed games you might play in your life. The fact that you are climbing to get collectibles, whereas every single collectible in this game is just on the ground.
Stop yelling and calm down. We need to figure this shit out.
Trinity, how did they get here?
Trinity's still alive and around, I guess. They didn't kill them all. As long as this isn't the Stations of the Cross again, I don't think Not a real problem.
We're not here because of the document.
Eternal reward, defeat the Trinity soldiers. Alright.
Picked up something hot.
I owe those guys an apology. For salvaging.
Alright. So much for that. So this is the quest where we're gonna get that last skill point. And I guess the idea here is that we'll get the last skill, not just skill points. I guess the idea here is that maybe you were supposed to start on a low amount of resources, so everything would be a little bit more balanced out. It does feel like you could very possibly have stealth killed a few more people, but the vast number of enemies there really doesn't paint a picture that you would have been able to actually succeed at clearing the entire room. Okay. So let's see how many crafting things. I wouldn't be surprised if what happens is that you get just infinite bullets, but I'm not sure that's really going to do you any good. Anyways, so we'll move to the next section and then I assume
Hey, what's that?
that we'll probably from the next section try to stealth again. That wasn't what I meant to do. Oh, shotgun.
Holy Jesus Christ! Holy shit, Croft is here!
So we're back to cussing. Other characters cussing.
We have to stay low.
So, yeah, it seems to me like the move here is that you still just gotta stealth everything and do this cover style of gameplay, which that is just not a style of gameplay that existed. At some level, if the game did just want the game to be a Gears of War style cover-based run and shoot experience, It wouldn't have been terrible. It just kind of needed to be consistent. That's one level. One skill point. We need several more. I probably don't really need to collect everything from all these enemies. It is weird how little actual of the challenging climbing takes place when you are engaging in fights. By default, though, the game took control away from me. I would say
No line of fire.
I have to just press Y here. And then we go cutscene. And visual glitching happening on the cutscene.
Good. That's the last of them.
It honestly would have made a lot of sense if every sequence, like, I don't even know if I can equip the other guns, in these battle sections were completely avoid getting shot sequences and no shooting back. Now I don't know how you could creatively take away Lara Croft's iconic handguns. They've already taken one away, but I don't know how you could take away both of them and have it so she doesn't have any handgun at all. But generally speaking, having the experience like the first game, where you really only had the knife and maybe the bow and arrow for the first few hours, potentially should have been the entirety of the trilogy. That she just hates guns, like Indiana Jones. Indiana Jones uses a whip. Why? Because it makes the movies less bloody, and it stops Indiana Jones from shooting people with guns. Although Indiana Jones, I guess, technically doesn't hate guns as much as, say, Batman hates guns, and Indiana Jones does shoot some people in some spots. I guess Batman is a much better example there. And this definitely looks like a trap puzzle. Although maybe it won't even trigger. Just a radio sitting there. But yeah, if she refused to use guns, or if she was just out of bullets very often, and you did have to stealth your way through sequences, then you control the experience. Whereas, so often in this game, you've been given the opportunity to have what seems like would be an amazing stealth experience, and then you're just not likely to actually have that experience. You're going to trigger the AI on the character, and then they're going to start shooting at you, and then you're just going to have to start shooting back. and then it just becomes a gunfight game. Which that doesn't feel like Lara Croft. If Lara Croft was just a gunslinger character, that'd be fine. It's just, that's not what she feels like to me, and I don't think that's the way she feels to most people when describing Lara Croft. Weirdly, it does seem like we're just not going to find the monsters
These are notes
until
the
the
missionary
end.
took while he was in Paititi, at the resting place of the Silver Box. They describe a network of tunnels underground leading all the way from Paititi to here. Based on what Lopez found, he made calculations for overland travel, which is why he ended his travels at the Mission of St. John. He wasn't just digging the catacombs to hide the box. He was looking for these caverns.
Okay. On that aspect, though, anything I collect now is just going towards the path home quest. It's not going towards the Pantheon of the Gods artifacts, relics, which I guess that's the only thing left to collect. So it seems like we're entering a tomb, and then we're going to come out of this tomb and just be back in Paititi. Which, so what? You can fast travel to Paititi. If the game in the continued made you go through this tomb to reach Paititi, that would be more content that players would have to play through. But then maybe they don't just say, hey, you can make a new game plus at this point.
A door ornamented with Maya designs. That must be my destination.
Will I actually hit any of these? I bet I can't. All this white light makes it seem like you could climb over there, but that's not really the case. So they want you to potentially look around and see something interesting, but it's nighttime now. First time we've been in nighttime out before Cozumel. Cozumel was in nighttime. And all you're really seeing is a bunch of fog. This gives you a few more XP, I guess.
It proclaims that this shrine was built to honor Shakik, mother of the hero twins, creator of the silver box of Ishel and the key of Shakshel, and mother of their protectors, the Yashil. Those who have served Shakik with honor shall be granted the eternal reward of returning to their mother.
So overall, I really question some things here. Was I supposed to run under that and go under there? Or am I supposed to take the other path? Again, it feels like it's implying there are two paths when really there aren't. That would be irritating if the reward for doing this is that there are now secondary paths to solve all the tombs. Although not that annoying, frankly. For people who enjoyed the tombs, being told you could enjoy them a second time is not terrible as an idea. It's just not something most players, I think, would engage with. Yeah, this really highlights the problem of any post-game content. Once you see the credits, most people are just going to want to quit.
This is ancient, far older than everything else in the area. There must be signifiers nearby which indicate how to open the central door.
Okay. Looks like we've got this, so let's just start with this.
Those symbols, there must be a hint somewhere about which is the right one.
Okay.
There must be signifiers nearby which indicate how to open the central door.
Well, it looks like I could run through that. Necessary. Looks like I could run through that if necessary. Alright, let's go.
The ceiling's lowering. Got to move. There should be a way somehow to open these gates.
Yeah.
There should be a way somehow to open these gates.
So it looks like this might be a massive...
This plate seems to control those spikes. I'm sure there's a way to get these gates open.
Okay. So we're going to run through the spikes. To get to this point. Does all this construction feel like it's appropriate for the oldest tomb we've found so far? Having iron spikes, having these wrapped rope sections. I'm gonna assume that the move here is to cut that, make that land. Okay.
Those symbols, there must be a hint somewhere about which is the right one.
I only see one symbol. I see some legs. I imagine the trick here is to find a symbol that is the amalgamation of several pictures. Legs, legs, legs. So we're gonna have to solve each of these puzzles.
I can't reach that yet.
I do not particularly hate that the walls are spikes collapsing on you.
There should be a way somehow to open these gates.
I can see how that would be frustrating if they actually did kill me, but otherwise it is just
I'm sure there's a way to get these
a
gates
system
open.
to make the player move faster. And I can agree with that. And I guess you can't just jump around the corner here to hit that or climb the lid here.
There should be a way somehow to open these gates.
Alright, so we are jumping here. Then we are jumping here. Then we are jumping here. And a bit of a leap of faith there, because we didn't have a lot of time.
There must be a way to open these gates.
seems like
I'm sure there's a way to get these gates open.
you're just jumping back and standing on this. Nothing
I'm
over
sure
there.
there's a way to get these gates open.
Again, I think this highlights
Another symbol. This is getting interesting.
legs and let's call those wings. I would hope that there aren't going to be even more puzzles after this point. Let's hit B. Yeah, at no point in the game are you actually forced to run forward.
There should be a way somehow to open these gates.
It feels like that's probably not true.
I'm sure there's a solution around somewhere.
You probably did have to run in a few places. But by forcing the player to run to get into these puzzles, you're also reminding the player that they can run, so they run through the spike section in the side here. Now, the other question is, could we have just brute force
One last symbol. Now to figure out how they work with the main gate.
legs, and we'll call this swan, and I kind of like the idea of the spikes coming up and just having the void falling down on that. Yeah, I question if we could have just brute forced this whole thing. Just try them all. But I guess you probably have to hit the button. Maybe you fall to your death if you hit the wrong button. Yeah, I don't know if the orientation here matters. We just need to find something that has all three of what we're looking for. Well, it looks like you have legs, swan, and some of that. Let's just hit this and see if this is right. Just run back for safety. I guess that was it. The game desperately, though, needs a map. A different thing. Well, either a different thing to happen when you right-click it, so you don't go into this survival instinct desaturated mode. Just getting rid of the desaturation element alone would be fine. But obviously they think by desaturating the colors and then highlighting objects that can interact with, that's being a visual assistance for people with visual problems. That option should be in the menus. When I click this, I just really want to see a breadcrumb trail or a beacon. In this case, it's a beacon showing me where to go. But sometimes
deeper into the temple.
You're looking in the opposite direction, and the beacon just has to be pointed to. I guess I'm not going to hate on the idea that there's more content here, but I don't want this to go on forever. Wow, that was wonky, but it worked. Notice that it's kind of nudging me forward so I actually land on the ground when technically if you're hanging from that ledge you have a decent chance of just falling into the pit. It does kind of feel like you could have taken the other path. Not much of a difference either way.
Incredible. This is Shakik, the Blood Maiden herself. She created the silver box and the Yashiel. The statue is incomplete. There must be a way to reposition the different parts of it.
We saw at the
There
credits
must be a way to control the front
that
of the
Lara
statue.
Croft kept the silver box,
There must
but
be a way to control
seemingly
the front
didn't
of the
keep
statue.
the dagger. Although it seems weird that you keep either one of them. What is she supposed to look like? She's supposed to have her arms in parallel and her legs in parallel. Okay, so good thing they gave us the reference spot. So let's see what this does. I don't think this is going to work particularly easy.
Two new paths. Let's see where they lead. There must be a way to control the front of the statue.
That's not really what I was expecting. Although there were pretty obvious doors there.
The front of the statue.
So I should have been
There must be a way to
expecting that.
control the front of the statue.
This is gonna get long. Game is reminding you to sprint.
The statue needs to be properly reassembled.
So we have a big, colorful spot here. Let's see what this does. Let's see what this does. Here's the problem with this. I need kind of a reference because I don't know if one knee needs to be in one place or if it just doesn't matter as long as both knees are in the right place. And having magical lit up lines totally breaks the level of believability that you would expect in this game.
Good. The left arm and leg are in place.
Left arm and left leg are in place. Which, ooh, that does tell me potentially that I've made a mistake here. It does look like I can mess it up. Now weirdly, I don't think I actually have to go
There must be a way to control the front
over
of the
here.
statue.
lock in place. Wasn't really expecting it to work that way. Yeah, one leg, I guess, is supposed to be
miniature
bent.
of the complete statue, probably for reference.
So the legs are in the right place. The arms aren't in the right place. Well, I think I could potentially get the arms in the right place if I can just open up the pass. That's how it just slides into where it wants to slide. And I guess those rocks are supposed to be
There
indicators
must be a way to control the front of the statue.
them being counterweights. This is different. I wasn't really expecting that to happen. Although I kind of appreciate it being different too. We should have seen more of this with bright shining lights and like lens flare happening when you exit an area. Okay. So we just need to pull this 3 times. Then we need to go back to the other area and pull the other one 3 times.
Got it. Right arm and leg in position.
Okay. I guess you can climb up here as a separate way to get to this part. Although maybe you can't do that the first time. Now 3 more times here. I think that this should be enough. Weird we haven't seen any of the monster characters.
Done it.
But I also wouldn't want to fight them. There's nothing here other than your standard final part of a tomb. Maybe the floor will give away and we'll collapse into a lower tunnel. Maybe it'll rise up and give us some kind of even stronger bow and arrow. Although if we get any kind of item like that, it's going to be pointless. The only thing that makes sense here is if we got everything on the map revealed. That's the only possible thing I can think of. Let's show where we are when we're at it. We're way over here. That would make sense as far as doing this extra content after the story has been completed. You could potentially introduce, while on the run or in the thick of combat, craft more powerful ammunition using fewer resources. Magic touch. That is absolutely useless. And it absolutely would be useless for every single person who did this quest. Unless you just hadn't done any of the other DLC side quests or any of the other side quests and had just rushed your way to the end of the game very quickly. Maybe that would have worked at that point. So you have this like gates to heaven. This almost feels like this is going to do what I've seen in so many other games where we're going to have some magical portal to some other dimension, or ancient aliens show up, and it's just going to feel out of place.
Some kind of gateway. The Yashil armor. I guess they didn't need it anymore, but where? They made it. They're all right.
You're making a big assumption there. For all you know, they walked through a
Everyone
gateway
listen.
and died.
The Yashil are fine. They completed the return to the heavens.
The return to the heavens.
That's what it's called.
Yeah, again, visual
when
glitches.
The goddess Shakik created the silver box and the key, she also created the Yashil to be their guardians on this plane. Now that their duties have been carried out, they've gone back to their home.
The way the visual glitches are happening definitely feel like it's the
Lara, is there an archway made of silver?
it feels like
Yes.
it's the
According
game,
to the
not
fresco, that's the
like my
door
video
to the other
card or
plane. And now it's closed.
computer.
Forever.
That's consistent with Mariana's vision. It fills in all the blanks.
It's closed forever, she says. How would
Great.
she know? What does
I'm
she
on my way
know
back.
at all? What would be really funny is if the gateway opened
Lara, farewell.
and sucked her in. That would be a decent way to try and merge the timelines. As she starts walking away, the gateway opens and then sucks her through.
Lara, you're back.
So one more tomb.
Thank you. Now that you've fulfilled your duty to the Yashil, what's next?
With the cult defeated in Paititi, my work as her protector is done. Uchu will be Etzi's military council, and that frees me to explore the world outside, serving these adopted lands as my celestial sisters did for centuries.
We're lucky to have you.
So the Yashil are back home. That means everything's good now, right?
Everything's great.
I'm typing in Cozumel
What about
treasure
you, Lara?
chest
Do you have any
in
plans for
Shadow
the
of the
future?
Tomb Raider to see if I can figure out where it is, so we can get the last bits of collectibles. We're so close to the end of the game anyways, to 100%ing the game. Yep. So yeah, that was that. There. Wait, 99% here. Yeah, the thing I want to check, I guess, is just to make sure that there isn't a quest giver. Weirdly, there is a base camp that could get us back to the City of the Serpent, which it's weird to have a fast travel point there, even if the path is closed. Like, you would think if there was going to be any more DLC quests, it would be in the Hidden City. Yeah. New gear acquired. Silver arrows can. Ancient designs enable longer focus. I did get some kind of achievement there.
How do you do?
I have all kinds of stuff.
Let's see.
That's a good deal for both of us. Good deal. That's a good deal for both of us. I'm sure you will be satisfied. That's a good deal for both of us.
I got another achievement for completing all of the DLC things, and I'm noticing that these achievements, the last three I just got, all have to do with
Come back soon, miss.
with the DLC content, because it has a gold aura around those achievements, where all the other achievements have just a white box around them as far as the icon. we have 4 skill points. Which means we can get this, but we still did not get enough XP in this game to get this. So you would potentially have to play a new game plus for maybe another hour or two to get 2 more skill levels. We have everything here. And then our new inventory is not a new bow. It's not a new gun. I assume it's not anything on this page. And instead I would assume it is yet another outfit here. Which it does kind of feel like some of these outfits unlocked because I had the DLC element before I really earned them. Yeah, I could have sworn it said I got a new outfit there, and yet I just don't see it. We went through all of these outfits, and we've seen them all before, as far as I can tell. Unless it was this battle dress? No. They all look so similar. Okay, whatever. Fast travel to this. So we're missing a treasure chest here. Good news is it's right here. So let's grab it. Game's trying to make me fall over. Okay. There's the treasure chest. We see it. We just got to get to it. Which means we have to get, I think, from there to there. This was a gimmick with the bells ringing that wouldn't have worked if it got repeated too often. It's kind of fine that it was repeated once. Now. Okay. So no surprise that I didn't find this. I'm facing the wrong direction, so I have to slowly climb downward. Now this is at 78% complete in this area. So is this really going to get me to 100%? I'm hoping. Let's see. I just got 2 more achievements for that. And these are, I guess, gold level achievements that only 6% of players have collected. Okay. So, what I need to do is find the other survival caches, which I'm noticing there's one directly over here. It's just crazy that this wouldn't be mapped out. In a better way. My thought here is that I needed to swing, and I wouldn't have been able to swing before. Oh, and there's just like a whole map update. So if you don't find the map never gets marked. So we now know where the final survival cache is. And I think that probably makes it kind of easy to figure out where. Is there a faster way around this, or should I just die? I think it's just easier to die. So if you want to get all the collectibles in this game, you basically have to find all the maps. You basically need a walkthrough to tell you where all the maps are. Let's see if we can just jump down here and fall to our death. Nope. That's too far. Alright, well. I guess that just means you've gotta work your way around. Every time you get anywhere close, it's gonna give you a checkpoint. And boy, does the camera not want to accommodate you, really, to run that direction. Can we get back the way we came, or do I need to actually fast travel to this spot? You know what? It's so much easier just to fast travel anyways. We'll just do it. And since we know where that is, while this is loading, I'm gonna type in Peruvian jungle maps and see if that brings up Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And yes, it does. You would think searching Peruvian jungle maps would just bring out maps of a Peruvian jungle, although that is pretty nondescript as far as what you're actually looking for. Do we have it marked? Yes. We can see it is under the water. If anything, this really is just proving that even when you were looking, if you don't have the map to show you where it is, you're highly unlikely to find it. I don't know if you even can find collectibles or survival caches unless they are marked on the map to start with. It is ridiculous though that the game is not cutting me any slack at the end. Like, you think it would really ruin the experience if everything was marked on the map? Or if at the very least I had a map that showed me where maps were, if not all items? What did we miss? This doesn't make any sense. Survival cache, survival cache, survival cache. Can't click on that one, can't click on that one. Can't click on that one. We have 3 survival caches already marked off the map. So why is it saying that we're only at 92%? Why is it saying we missed a survival cache? Well, we just got that one. I guess. The only thing we can do is run back and investigate further. Just make sure we interact with it. It might be the game is glitched, and so we can't get 100% even if we try. We were obviously here. We got the survival cache. There. I would assume the other survival cache. Let's just make sure it still says we haven't gotten them all. Maybe I died and I need to go get that one back. The survival cache, I assume, would have been here. If not there, then here. Guess we'll fast travel back to the other spot and see what the game decides to say about that. Maybe that's when it's gonna fully reload. Meanwhile, as we're still fast traveling, what does the map say still? 92% completed. Are we missing some other thing? Oh, this is so irritating. Let's die and see if reloading that way might help. Survival cache, survival cache, survival cache. My general assumption here is that dying after collecting the previous survival cache that was here would have been the problem. Otherwise, it does just become a question of how far could I travel potentially to reset the whole game section. Like, if I go all the way to the hidden city, is that far enough? Do I need to exit out of the whole game and reset? Okay. Let me just type in Cozumel 92%. Or just go back, I guess, to Cozumel survival caches. Yeah. I'm confused here by far. Sorry, just reading. And this is not helpful. Well, alright. Let's just play the game. We'll fast travel out of let's just die. That's not going to help actually. If anything, what we should do is exit to the main menu and then reload the game and see if that fixes the problem. Otherwise, there might just be some collectible that's just not marked on the map. And if that's the case, it might be... nope. Exit and re-enter. We're now up to 100%. That was the solution. Which that is better than potentially running around the entire level looking for some relic that just would not really make sense if it existed. We'll just see how fast we can get to the fast travel section now. I'd really appreciate being able to see when you jump there. Okay. So then the last thing we need to do is just find this one survival cache that is somewhere in this area. So let me see if I can search that. Peruvian jungle cache. It is very possible that the cache might just be right about here, but there's no point in even looking. And again, I'm hoping I can get it without having a map, but kind of obviously there is a map missing. Okay. So we got a picture here of the map. It says there's one here. There is one here. There is one here. There is one here. There's one here. And we don't have that one. Or is it here? No, it is here. Yeah, there's one here. There's one there. There's one there. There's one there. And then there's one here. Okay, I think we found it. Let's go ahead and fast travel. I was thinking that in general it was weird that there wasn't anything in the top left section. I'm still at 67 out of 99 achievements though. So clearly there's some achievements I'm not likely to get. I was thinking it was weird that there was nothing here, but the map seems to indicate it's here, but you can't just mark something either. So I'm gonna have to try my best. Oh, is there no way to get back that direction? That seems unfair. Why not work my way through that? Or possibly get on top of it. Oh man, I may have to just run. No. Looks like you can just jump in the water. Get back. Okay.
Impossible. I can't carry anymore.
So just a little corner. No surprise you missed it. Last 25 XP, and I just got the completionist achievement that 5.9% of players engaged with and accomplished. Now it's really just going to be a question of, can I get back to the fast travel fire pit? Did that unlock a new outfit for us? No. Didn't seem like it did. So, as far as the entire world map, we're 100% complete. We'll zoom in and see if there's any new hidden city type quest. Some person to talk to, something to do. By the looks of it, there isn't. So that's extremely anticlimactic. Let's see. Yeah. Just double check by going through all of this. So, really anticlimactic and really not worth your time. We finished everything, but on that last survival cache that I collected, it didn't, I think, give me a level. So I still think, yeah, we are 2 skill point levels away. So if I was even trying to get all the achievements, which were at 60, looks like 66 out of 99, like I still would have to play a New Game Plus to level up. We can again just double check that we didn't unlock any new weapon for being a completionist, or any new outfit for being a completionist. It would have a white asterisk on it, really, if we had unlocked any kind of outfit like that. It's just not there. Alright, well, let's go ahead and make a save file, I guess, so we can see that the save file says 100% complete. And then I want to exit to the main menu. Now we know that multiplayer is defunct, but there are these challenge tombs. So I would want to give that a slight attempt. I'm not going to do all the challenge tombs. I'm going to do one of them, because I really haven't enjoyed this game enough to justify doing any more of that. And obviously I would have to go to New Game Plus. I would think that if you click this, you would, I guess, just import this save spot. Interesting. There's weirdly a new outfit that you start with, where you could go the eagle path, or the jaguar path, or the serpent path. And maybe that unlocks 3 new outfits that would want you to play again. We'll go ahead and overwrite that save file. Yeah. Deadly Obsession seems to be available as potentially something that would unlock the achievement. I've completely forgotten about the Jaguar element too. Once you begin, the difficulty setting can't be changed in Deadly Obsession, where one with the jungle can be saved. So it does seem like it's slightly different. Diverse and talented team, multiple genders, backgrounds, ethnics, religious beliefs, and personalities. I really have to question how much of the story in the long run, particularly when you get to the end, has anything to do with any actual myth that Aztecian would have made. And I'm trying to skip as much as possible here, and it just doesn't want to skip. And very quickly, even if I was going to jump into this New Game Plus, you have this risk of the game crashing again. My controller is vibrating right now with a heartbeat, but the game really didn't do much with the controllers. Wow. She starts the game. Very first word out of her mouth is her saying the S word. She said that ridiculously, way too much. I almost feel like that is you can't skip any of this, I guess. I think that might be intentional, that they're saying even they know the game is poop. You could read into that as them winking and nodding at hating their own product, but like, I don't know really if you'd want to believe that. She's not in your new outfit at this point. And then she says the S word at the end of that cutscene. Yeah, I'm probably reading it too deeply.
Jonah, you there?
So you have to go through this whole setup and tutorial section, probably. And this clearly is a nod to like the first game, and that she's stuck in the rocks. Wow. She said this again.
Jonah, I'm here.
Wow.
Just a little stuck.
So there's this just whole mini game you could play throughout the whole time. Or you could just count the number of S words she says throughout. You'll easily get up into the 200s. No, I will applaud the game for just not like wasting the player's time by lovingly torturing Lara Croft like the first game was really bad at doing. I keep trying to skip and I keep just pausing instead, which I think maybe makes an argument that the controllers need a dedicated skip button. But also, okay, so
Jonah, I'm out. Be careful, the way into the site is full of traps.
you're just
not done with it yet.
in your
They're
own
protecting something.
outfit.
6 weeks, and still no solid leads on who's leading the local Trinity cell. But I talked to some people in town, and they're excited. There's a VIP.
So you have to get at least past this point before you could even start to play the game. And so it really is just too much work. Because even if you get past this section, then you are into the flooded section of Cozumel. Was this a good introduction section for the game? Not really. Having this giant head statues, which we never really got an explanation as far as the giant heads.
On my way in. Almost there.
Sorry I didn't wait. Be careful.
And you just can't skip any of this. I guess that's supposed to be a motion sensor, not really a bomb. The whole astrological signs didn't mean anything.
Wow. Get a load of this place. Guess all that research paid off.
There's so much in this game that just doesn't pay off
They really didn't
at
want
all.
us in here.
I'm glad we followed your father's notes.
Like the worm in his arm. Or her leg being injured. Oh, I forgot totally that her leg had been injured. So this is the third game in this trilogy where she's been injured in some way throughout the entirety of the game. It's magical.
This inscription is some sort of riddle. Pink fish.
Pink fish.
Silver-crowned mountain.
And I'm still just trying to skip, and you can see in the lower right corner, it just does not want to skip.
But something's off. Looks like it was
Which is
damaged.
potentially this cutscene is a pre-rendered cutscene that
No, I think the
they are
damage is
using
older.
to hide the just massive complexity that Cozumel at the Deus de los Mortes section would be. She never uses the camera really again. I guess she has it on her, and that's why we get some photos of some characters. But
If you hadn't dragged me out, I'd still be in there taking pictures.
We'd still be in there. Don't know if you'd be doing much.
Jonah.
Hey, you want to freshen up? Regroup at the cafe? Dr. Dominguez is supposed to be there tonight.
Sounds good. I'll try and decipher the riddle, see if the date has anything to do with it.
Right. Pink fish, Silver Crown Mountains, I'll look into it. By the way, this cafe is supposed to have really good food. I know the chef.
I'm
just
not very
really late
After all of that,
section. Yeah, and I question if all of that was hiding looting to this. But then this is pre-rendered too at this point. So this could be hiding loading also. And see, then you have this outfit, and you don't ever get to use that again. And it would be all the way through this storyline section that you would have to cross before you start to actually get to a campfire spot. And the map is not revealed since it's New Game Plus. So even if you did want to just see that path of the eagle stuff, you really can't. Not easily. The hidden city outfit restriction still seems to be enabled, so it seems to me like yeah, I don't think multiplayer actually works. Seems like you just really screwed yourself over if you choose to have the hidden city outfit restriction enabled. So yeah, I don't have enough patience to even go through New Game Plus. Unless turn this off in post-story. Deactivating this option will allow you to equip any outfit while exploring the hidden city, potentially causing narrative inconsistencies. Note that deactivating this option will only take effect on a save game where the final boss has been defeated. Oh. Which really just means that the option itself is not even that good. But I did want to see these challenge tombs. We know multiplayer is defunct. As far as main games tombs, we've done all these, and I've been fairly frustrated by them. It looks like I even have possibly some score as far as a solo score attack on some of these. Yeah. The San Cordoba, for some reason, either I started that and then exited, but I do have a 0 there. Let's go, your score on all these. I have 0 on Tree of Life. I have 0 on that, 0 on that, 0 on that, 0 on that. Now look at some of these numbers too, though. That seems like only 13,000 people, I mean 1,300 people, even fewer, have even ever engaged with the main game tunes in this way. I'm not going to engage with it either. The Forge of Destiny we also did, so we know that is from Kwakyaku. We've already done that. The Howl, this leaderboard is currently empty. Interesting. Howl of the Monkey Gods we also did. Price of Survival. Let's just go through these again. Forge of Destiny says Kwakyaku, so we know that this is possibly a different version of what we've already done. This one says Sinchi Chica, reclaim the treasure for Paititi. Again, that's mentioning Paititi. And we did this one too, the Path of the Hurricane. Retune the discarded instrument, we did that. Navigate the Path of the Righteous and take place amongst the first among the sanctified. Serpent's Heart, we did that one. Confront the Ravenous Unpacked, we did this. We've done all of these. I thought some of these tombs would have been from the second game or the third game, but I mean, or the first game, but it just doesn't seem like it is the case. So let's do the Judge's Gaze. Score attack. How do you get score? I don't know. Time attack. Exploration. Exploration seems like it's just a non-scoring version of this. Let's just see. Let's see what this looks like. This should be the simplest of the tombs. But I seriously doubt that there's any real difference here. Seems like you could potentially change your outfit into anything you've got. Which maybe there is an argument to swapping up like this. Let's see how that actually feels. Well, I find this irritating because what this potentially is going to be is a case where I bet you probably don't get score for grabbing resources. So I guess you're running around this, getting all the orbs. Probably trying to run as fast as possible. I find this irritating, I started to say, and then I lost my track of thought, because this really sets up you in a weird position where there could have been these glowing orbs this whole time. Do we get points for collecting items? Confused as to if the solution here is slightly different or if I've just missed something. Interesting. We just did a roll that I guess the game would not have allowed otherwise. What are we trying to do? I've forgotten. Shooting that gives you score multipliers. So yeah, you could have had these floating orbs this whole time in the game. And that could have been your direction and your guidance. Instead of just going into survival instincts mode. And yeah, it doesn't feel like your time attack score is going to be much different from your score attack score. So I don't feel like there's really a need potentially play this a second time. She didn't do the roll that time, but if I just hit on the B button, she will roll. Maybe in the regular outfit she would have rolled too.
The rope snapped.
Okay. Noticeably, I'm not really getting a very high score here. So I don't know how you would have gotten a better score doing the score tag. But I would say you would have to have really enjoyed these tombs and figured out
That's a bit of progress.
the solutions to these tombs. Ways to just like best optimize the tombs. Okay. Target score is 1600, where it, or 160,000 is what it is, and we're at 80,000.
There. Hope this ladder isn't as rotten as it looks.
And clearly we missed a few there. Come on, climb up higher. Wow, this is just very wonky. But just admit that too, this game has never been particularly easy to maneuver Lara Croft, so the idea of potentially you would think this would just end it. Now, the Angel of Darkness outfit kind of works here. Yeah, it's not terrible. To get gold for a target score was only 520,000. But yeah, we didn't get anywhere close to that. We got half of bronze. Yeah. If we were to enter the time attack option, I imagine you just are doing the same thing again, this time without any collectibles. This time I'm going to use the regular skin, and then I'm going to tap B and see if it rolls. So, yeah, I see with the slight difference of a countdown here, I really see no reason why you would focus on doing the time attack. Because it really is just giving you a slightly different score with nothing else really changing. It's going to encourage the player to just run faster and more often, and swim faster and more often. Like, if there were some cheats here, maybe that would make a little bit more sense. If there was a different way to solve the puzzle. But particularly for this tomb, I don't think there is any valid way to solve this much quicker. And usually in a game where you would have a speed attack, you would have some kind of speed up to the whole process. Oh, so she could have rolled at any point if you double tapped the B button. It's just a case that in this game you would never really engage with that. I guess the idea would have been to run here and jump here. As the timer is counting down, once it crosses that yellow spot,
there,
which
this ladder isn't as rotten as it looks.
you'll go to silver. It seems like that's going to happen no matter what I do, so there must be some kind of movement technique or shortcut here. Because I ran through that as fast as possible. But yeah, I would just do the score attack mode first, and I'd do it over and over again if I actually cared about the score. I don't know why you would care about the score in any of this though. That gives us seemingly insignificant amounts of gold on your save file. At no point do you need gold on your save file, so I don't know why you would engage with that. And I didn't get a gold in that case, so it didn't unlock any achievement if it was going to unlock an achievement. I am glad that there is an exploration option, but I am very uninterested in playing the tombs that I could have just played in the main game if you just allowed me to go back into them and access them through the map and relive them that way. Seems like maybe you could still play multiplayer doing these tombs, but I don't really think that's the case. Alright, so we've gone 3 hours and we are just done with Shadow of the Tomb Raider. It's all very anticlimactic. The ending didn't do anything interesting. I definitely was hoping for something way more interesting as the story ended, that she would either actually think about remaking the world instead of having no doubt in her mind at all. I had hoped earlier in the game that she would have gone back in time and we would have seen that final section where we fought Dr. Dominguez happen somewhere in the middle of the game, and then she would have gone back in time to an ancient Paititi and had some kind of second act adventure around that, or she would have remade the world and then there would have been a second act adventure. Even if she had just remade the world and they had changed where enemies were or the types of enemies you were fighting, that would have worked too. If the monster characters were fighting you mostly up till the midpoint of the game, and then Dr. Dominguez remade the world and Trinity just totally took over the world, and then you had to remake the world again to set it back to the way it was, that would have been fine, because then you could have run through the whole game a second time fighting more Trinity enemies. But yeah, pretty much at every step there's just some major disappointment that I had with almost all the experience in Shadow of the Tomb Raider. I, in retrospect, enjoyed the second Tomb Raider of this reboot trilogy more, and I barely even remember what the second game was. And definitely in retrospect, I enjoyed the first game in this reboot trilogy more compared to this. Which, yeah, that's not really how things should go. This should have been the pinnacle, ultimate version of the Tomb Raider reboot. And yeah, having now invested 3 games in this trilogy and put a ton of time into playing these games, I am totally willing to wait a few years before I would ever play a new AAA version of a Tomb Raider game. I would be interested in playing side games still. Lara Croft still is an interesting enough character, but I definitely don't want to see this Lara Croft come back. I want to see a new Lara Croft attempt of characterization, or just bring back the original Lara Croft character. But I think I've already mentioned all of these criticisms overall, so that's just going to be it for this series. As always, I ask you to like, share, subscribe, comment, and watch every second of my videos because that helps me with YouTube. If you go to my main YouTube page, I have a playlist tab. In it, I have a bunch of playlists that you can check out for other games that I have covered, including Rise of the Tomb Raider and whatever the other Tomb Raider game was called in this reboot trilogy. Also, if you want to support me even further, there's some links to some support services like Patreon down in the description box too, which that would be very much appreciated. Thank you for watching. Have a good evening.